and welcome to Lunar Ray Tarot. Today I felt really called to pull out cards for Gemini. I've had a little bit of a channeling to see what I can feel with Gemini. And so far I feel like a subtle anxiety, but mainly like a calm. There's a peace, but anxiety there. Maybe something that you're avoiding, like something that you feel you should be doing, but maybe you keep. I'm just getting like a tiny bit of avoidance, tiny bit, not too much, right? So let's see what the cards say. Let's see what the cards say for Gemini this week. So this is a weekly timeless. Okay, and we have the Knight of Wands. Can you see that? I don't know if it will. Yeah. So I make decisions without pressure. So from this card, I'm feeling like whatever this thing that maybe you are avoiding, maybe it's feeling overwhelmed with so many choices and you're thinking which one shall I take, because there's so much. You are putting maybe a lot of pressure on yourself, or there is a perceived pressure with the choice that you make. So I get that understanding of feeling like, okay, maybe I should wait until I have a bit more information. Second card, Six of Wands. I'm proud of what I achieve and I accept my rewards. So Wands is action. So you are taking action. So I think you know that there will be a reward, and I think that's kind of pushing you through whatever kind of end goal you have in mind with coming to this decision and what it could possibly bring you. And I'm also feeling like there's kind of like a duality here of like, which is quite normal for Gemini. You are kind of living in this between world of kind of being the masters of communication and the mind, right? And also feeling controlled by your mind. And I think you're teetering in between. I think there are very clear achievements that you are feeling very strong in and validated by, but there are these parts, and you can't help but notice these little parts in your mind that keep kind of coming back to you. And then the Six of Cups, I remember and treasure past happiness. So I guess that part of your mind, maybe it's linked to a memory, a past emotion, a past energy. When I feel into that a bit more, yeah, it feels like maybe reminiscing, like a thought of like yeah, maybe the past got twisted, like the past has been twisted. So you're thinking about the past and it's been twisted. Let's see what comes next. I'm inspired to follow my passion. So maybe what you wanted in the past, since the past has changed, I manifest multiple opportunities. Yeah, so maybe in the past you felt more restricted, and now you have a lot more options and you can see those options, but there is something kind of like, something is holding me back here. Yeah. And then to end, we have Six of Swords. I know that peaceful times will come. Now, the Six of Swords, because swords can represent, in the tarot, they represent the speech, mind, can also represent conversation, communication. So, oh gosh, load just fell down. 1 second. Oh gosh. I'm going to try and take this reading as I go along, and I'm just feeling like there is like just there, like there is a fear of kind of dropping the ball. You've got so many things in your hands, and maybe this season is kind of temporary. So I think maybe what's going on, I think maybe that subtle anxiety is like, and looking towards the future is kind of like, oh, maybe the past was a little bit more difficult, and you're kind of grateful to be where you are, but you are also aware that there is a kind of a bigger responsibility in the place that you are now, to make those right choices with the multiple opportunities you've got. Yeah, so I mean, quite positive, quite positive. A few things that maybe you can look at, and if it's resonating with you, I think a few different situations can come up. I'm mainly getting like work stress, or sort of like overwhelming of life, of self-thought, self-doubt. Those are kind of like the main things that would kind of be underlying that anxiety. So yeah, that's what I get generally for Gemini right now. Now let's look at what we've got coming in terms of what your angels are saying. So this is advice from your angels. So Gemini, this week, what are your angels saying? They say, release resentments about money. So maybe this opportunity that we're talking about here is linked to some kind of monetary reward. Maybe you're thinking about the next opportunity of, if I make the right decision, I could get a promotion, I could get a better job. Maybe something that's closer to what you actually want to do long term. And I think, so it's saying, yes, the money system of the world can seem upsetting, but holding resentments about finances pushes your abundance away. Instead, see money as a tool you can use to better the world, and this shift will help you to attract support and golden opportunities. So maybe it's your perception of money. I think it's normal if you've been without money and maybe you have it, dealing with that and giving yourself some grace. If you are experiencing some time where you are having to kind of think about your future and your finances a little bit more, and obviously that's linked to your career and how you can kind of maintain that. I think this is more about sustainability. And so if you have had kind of like an in and out energy with money, where you feel like there are times when you have it and sometimes when you don't, maybe those times when you have it or those times that you don't, look at where you're thinking, where that thinking comes from. Like, when did I first form my idea of money? You know, how was money looked at when I grew up? And that can just kind of help guide you. Like, if there was a positive outlook on money, was money kind of seen in a frivolous way? So maybe that's kind of led you to think, well, money's always coming in, so whatever happens, it'll come in. So you're not very conscious when you spend it. Or maybe money was always such a topic in your house, so you're always worried about it, and because you're worried about it, you don't make the right choices because you're coming from an emotional place. Whatever the thing that it is that's kind of holding you back, kind of look at that. And it doesn't feel like it needs to be a huge deep dive. It maybe needs to be a couple of questions in which you sort of like reorient, like, what is holding me back here? What is in my control, and what can I let go? And I think doing just that will kind of allow you to accept where you are, but be hopeful for the future, because you are working your way towards that. And then the next one from your angels is bountiful nature. Spending time in nature shifts you into a high vibration. 100%. I feel that when you are clouded in your mind, just grounding yourself, and you hear it a lot, but just kind of changing your state, taking a walk down the road and up, just 5 minutes. I find that if I walk outside intending to maybe just be in the sun or feel the wind, I end up taking maybe half an hour or an hour walk, just being curious. I end up being curious about where I am, and I live in such a rural countryside area, so there's always sort of like little paths and new trees to find, a bench that I hadn't seen before. And so I think that's, you know, can you find times where you allow your mind to rest. And don't think about your mind resting. Think about being present with what you're doing. Because when you think about, I need to rest my mind, I need to rest your mind, rarely do you rest your mind. Rarely does that happen. Yeah? And for you, Gemini, the brilliant thinker, we know. You know that there's so many ways it could go, so many situations, and you want to feel like you've done as much extensive research as you can, but you can never get it wrong because it's never done, you know? There's always another choice. There's always another way. And even by making that choice, you've already changed the choices. And I think me even kind of going on this loop with you of feeling like, oh, there's a choice. And then if I make that choice, then that changes all of the choices I have after that. And that could change. All I say is, ooh, take a breath, take a breath. And then when you are here, when you are in the now, when you are here with me in the now, and I am here with you, and this is resonating, just think to yourself, what feels like the next right step? Don't think the next 5, the next step. And when you feel into that, when you think into that, what feels the best to you, the most. And you might have 2 really risky situations, but in those situations, what feels like the next right step? Or you might have 2 really great choices. So you can never, any choice you make, whether you fail or you succeed in that choice, if you have a growth mindset, you will never fail, right? Because it's always a time to learn. It's always a time to see, you know what? I made that choice and it was the best choice I could make at the time. And now I have new information. You can make new choices next time. And sometimes when we spend too much time in our heads and not enough time actually experiencing what the choice could feel in the practical reality rather than in our minds, we see that maybe actually we get different thoughts. Is there a way that you can experience this thought you have in the reality before you fully commit? Look at it differently. Can you maybe take a couple of steps towards it without fully committing? Do you have to see it as an all or nothing situation? Or could you see it as something you try and come back to? Are there ways? Can you seek more information? Can you look to other people who have done what you've done and how they did it and how they approached it? Don't feel like you have to figure it out. Sometimes the satisfaction is just in deciding and not having to be the one to decide, and like going around and seeing, okay, that helps. That makes these choices a little bit less. Yeah. I'm feeling that. So that's from your angels. And then let's look at your ancestors. So I'm going to pick 3 cards. So there'll be a pile 1, a pile 2, and a pile 3. And I will timestamp. I will try to timestamp those for you. I figure it out. It's my first time doing this. So if you picked pile 1, this is from your ancestors. Ooh, it's upside down. So maybe you're not hearing. Trust in higher forces. And I think when I say that, there is like that side that I said, like, oh gosh, what does that even mean? Higher forces where? And I think it's talking about that word we love so much, which is surrender, let go. And letting go doesn't mean what I think people want it to mean. It doesn't mean don't think about it. It doesn't mean, do everything you can to distract yourself from what you need to do. What it means is, right now, is there anything I can do about it? So if you're, let's say you're skiing with friends and you're thinking about your dissertation. Is your dissertation going to get done anytime soon? Your laptop is like several miles away. You're on this holiday for a week. So maybe right now just focus on skiing. Yeah. And then if you still find yourself thinking about it, maybe think, what can I do right now? Can I make a plan for when I get home? Can I do a bit of reading in between skiing? All of those things. And then you can let go. Like, I've done everything I can for now. I read a little bit here. I listened to a podcast there. And now I can let go. And just making it easier and more digestible. And then leave the rest. don't focus so much on the output of, is it here yet? You know, this thing or this clarity. Focus more on like, have I done everything I can do to get closer to that goal, to get closer to what it is I'm working towards? So that's part 1. If you picked part 2, wise one, grow within your current situation. So this kind of follows on a little bit from part 2. So do you know what? I'm not going to do parts. I think all 3 messages are from your ancestors. So wise one, grow within your current situation. So yeah, and sometimes if you are kind of, what I would say, in a deadlock of decision, the paradox of choice, and you feel there is literally no other way I can look at this, I can't make a choice, I'm stuck. Maybe think, okay, right now, how can I grow where I am? If I can't go there yet, if I feel too confused to go there, where else can I go that feels clearer? Where can I grow here to there if this doesn't work? Yeah, grow within your current situation. See what positives you can get from your current situation. See if you can grow there. So, High Priest. Intend and create. So that's the final message from your ancestors. What do I get from this card? So it's like there's an owl, and the owl's in front of the man. And it looks, if you look at your ancestors there, right, which I think that represents, I get a huge ancestor feel in the owl. Because if we think of what we just saw about the wise one, I think the wise one is representing you. And you see this kind of ancestor, I feel like that's kind of like guidance of like trust. We're here. So as you're sort of like peering out, it's like, oh gosh, all of these choices, you don't notice that there's exactly sort of like something. Maybe when there's something behind you, right? There's something behind you. And I think when we're thinking about that nostalgia, maybe you are thinking about past support that you had, or how maybe you're not getting it now. Maybe you have to stand alone a bit more and make decisions, but don't feel alone. Don't feel alone, because there is someone there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be viewed in this spiritual way of something we can't see. It might actually be, if you choose to see it, is there support around you that you're choosing not to access? Do you feel afraid to access that? Maybe it's the feeling that I do have to do this alone. And maybe there's that growth in you of, actually, for the first time, I'm on my own and I feel like I can do it. I feel like if I just trust, if I'm clear. And so maybe when I get to the end of this, Gemini, I think maybe what is making this high pressure and high risk is maybe this is the first time you're feeling like, I am making this decision alone, and I kind of have to. Maybe it's like a self-confidence thing of like, if I can prove to myself that I can go through all of this without having to ask for help, there will be the achievement of the word of knowing I did that. I made that choice. I struggled through it and I figured my way out to the end, and my mind got me there, right? So yeah, I liked that, Gemini. I did, and I felt so pulled to you. So yeah, that's. Now I'm more tongue-tied because you're so in there. It's all like word salad. So Gemini, this has been Lena Ray Tarot, and I'll see you next week. Hey.